I just didn't know what I wanted to do in my life, but I knew God made it pretty clear that I needed to come down here to camp, and I needed camp more than camp needed a chief, and they got a chief out of it. I'm Carter Schrock, and my first experience about camp was back in about 2018. I was sitting in my Sunday school class, and Chief Greg came up to my church and explained to us what Gator Camp was and showed us a video of a past chief and how it impacted his life, and it kind of really caught my attention. So I came down the summer of 2018 and 2019, and then in 2020, 21, 22, and 23 we came down in the springtime. And this was all as a youth work group. And the more I came down, the more I fell in love with it, and kind of had a pull on my heart to come. But then I'd go home for a couple months and it'd kind of go away. And then I'd get a couple months closer to coming down again, and I'd feel that pull again. And then I got a time talking to the off-duty chiefs. I was like, I love the idea of it, but I would never chief. I graduated 21 and was part of a good family business and thought I had my life all planned out. And then in the spring, March of 23, we came down. Chief Curtis, our program director at the time, he came out and was talking to me and asked if I wanted to go into a group for a cookout. And I was like, heck yeah. And he goes, okay, I hear you're interested, but I was like, no, you're wrong about that. He was like, okay, we'll see. So Chief John, a supervisor, walked me down trail and was talking to me the whole way down trail and just kind of picking at my brain. And I get down in the group and jumped right in, and I was actually like, wow, this is crazy. The work and effort that they put in, and just the consistent paying attention to what's going on around you, and the constant awareness is crazy. And we finally got to bed that night, and about halfway through the night I woke up and I couldn't fall back asleep. And God made it pretty clear to me that it's either I'm coming to camp or I'm going down a pretty dark road. And so the next morning, about noontime, Chief John came back down and got me and packed up my stuff, and we were walking back up trail, and he asked me, so what'd you think? I was like, well, where did I sign papers? And then about soon after that, I was up in the office and talked to a couple more people, signed some papers, and a month later I was right back down chiefing. And at the time, I really needed it. I needed camp more than camp needed me, and more than they needed a chief, and they got a chief out of it. And I'll always be grateful for camp and what camp's done in my life. And it's not always easy. In my first 6 months, I really struggled and had some pretty bad habits, and finally got to talking about them and opening up, and Chief Jimmy was a huge part of that, and he helped me break a lot of my old habits. And my old co-chief, my first co-chief, we chiefed together for about a year, and he really, really picked my brain, and had a couple off-duty chiefs that really helped me through things. Yeah, they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and there's a few times where I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this, but it takes a lot of determination and grit, and I'm a pretty stubborn person too, so I wasn't gonna just let it run over me. I was like, well, I'm gonna finish what I started. I knew God called me here for a reason. Before I came down to camp, I was your cliche Christian, went to church every Sunday, grew up Christian home, but on the weekends I was out doing stupid stuff and not very Christian-like things, and it really, really turned my life around. really grew me closer to God. I was finally reading my Bible again. And before camp, I maybe opened my Bible a handful of times. Now I read it every day. Camp's been a blessing. And I've been baptized since I've been down here. And my daddy got baptized with me. That was a very, very emotional and exciting moment too. And because my dad grew up in a real dysfunctional family, divorced parents and a brother, half brother, and he's really came a long way. And for him to get baptized with me too is a huge accomplishment in my books. So camp's been a blessing in my life and to me, and it's really changed me for the better and made me a godly man in who I am sitting here today. It's been a challenge. It's not easy, but it's also not unachievable. And if you feel led to even just come check out camp, we'd be glad to have you. Give us a call, spend a day in the group and see if you'd be interested, or we got other positions at camp too. We'd love to have you.